Strong words from former President Obama senior advisor David Axelrod reacting to a New York Times and Siena College poll. He suggested President Biden drop out of the 2024 presidential race. The poll also asked about the age of the candidates and as well about another Trump versus Biden election. Joining us now, former U.S. Congresswoman Donna Edwards and former White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney. He's the co-chair of Actum Strategic Advisors. Congresswoman, there are two types of Democrats now. There are some that are really behind the president because of a lack of alternatives, I guess, and double down whenever you mention maybe he shouldn't run, and they actually beg some of their fellow Democrats to stop even bringing it up, almost like ostriches, because there is a problem. And then there's some people like David Axelrod that say for the good of the party he should step aside. He's just too old. What do you say?
Well, actually, if you read the entirety of the David Axelrod thread, that's not what he suggested. He actually said that was unrealistic. But I do think that there are some concerning things in the poll, and I don't think anybody should hide from that. To me, they're about constituencies that Biden seems not to have a complete grip on. Young people under age 30, African-American voters, where he's seen a pretty historic drop, and Hispanic voters. And I think focusing on those constituencies, and obviously issues like the economy and national security are looming large. We're a year out. This poll actually gives, I think, the Biden camp an opportunity to really focus on and work on those things over this next year. He's going to be the nominee, just like Donald Trump is going to be the nominee of the Republican Party. We've got to get a grip on that. And Biden needs to put his head down and really bring back home those constituencies that are natural Democratic partners.
Mick, even the loss that the President Biden has seen has been Donald Trump's gain in African Americans and Hispanic and even suburban women. But he's been out of the public. I mean, he's in the public eye because of all the litigation, but he's not tweeting. He's not president. You aren't seeing what it was like in a Trump presidency every day. So he's kind of been out of sight, out of mind a little bit, which allows him, by comparison, you think, hey, this guy wasn't that bad, his policies anyway. But once if we were to refocus on every, and we were hearing every day from things, do you think he can win you think these numbers would hold up in November of next year?
Yeah, the one thing he doesn't want to hear, by the way, Joe, is that he's been out of sight and out of mind. He would hate to hear that from you. So do I think he can win? Absolutely, I think he can win. I think he's done a job no one expected of taking these criminal indictments, these criminal investigations, these trials against him, and turned them to a political positive. He's actually apparently successfully casting himself as a victim of a weaponized government. I never thought I'd see that. And at the same time, you've got Joe Biden, who just can't get out of his own way. His age is clearly an issue now. It's not just Republicans talking about it. It's not just David Axelrod. If you go back a couple weeks back, David Ignatius wrote a big piece in the Washington Post. You don't get more centrist sort of Democrat establishment than David Ignatius writing in the Washington Post about how Biden should step down or step away from the reelection. So everything is going Trump's way. Right now, it looks like it's Trump versus Biden. I think Trump is more likely to be the Republican nominee than Biden is the Democrat, but it's going to be a close toss-up election between the two of them, just as it was the previous two times.
I like the way you quickly, you said centrist, and Ignatius, I don't mean centrist. Let me think of another word I can come up with.
I was looking for establishment.
I watched you do that, and I was thinking the same thing. It's like, centrist? I don't know about that. So who would be, Mick, I'll ask you, if it's not President Biden, and it probably is going to be President Biden, but if not President Biden, then who? Whom?
Well, that's the problem, right? Is it because you could go down the list of names of ideal sort of candidates, and you hear Michelle Obama's name. I understand she has no interest in running. You hear Oprah Winfrey's name. I understand she has no interest in running. So it's going to come down to the regular sort of cast of characters, which would be Gavin Newsom, maybe Cory Booker, maybe Gretchen Whitmer. It could be anybody. I think maybe Newsom. He's the one who seems to be positioning himself just in case. But this would not be a primary. This would be something the Democrats would probably select after the convention, which makes it even more weird and disturbing. But that's 21st century American politics.
Kind of weird, Donna. Mick didn't even mention the vice president.
Well, first of all, whatever the pie in the sky, woulda, coulda, shoulda, is not going to happen. Joe Biden is going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. But here's where I do think Kamala Harris actually can help those constituencies that I talked about earlier. She is very appealing to them. If you look underneath this New York Times poll, it shows that she has a lot of appeal with women, with African-American voters, with Hispanic voters, and of course, with young people. And so I think that's actually, he's going to have to lean on that even more. President Biden will. And I think a year out, this gives the marching orders to the Biden campaign about what needs to be done over the course of this next year. But Biden is going to be the nominee. And it makes me crazy hearing the silly talk about woulda, coulda, shoulda.